Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about psychedelics and really kind of the fundamental principle of how to apply all the things that you learn in a psychedelic experience uh, into yourself to integrate into your daily being so that you have actual lasting personal change, personal transformation. Um, this also can be, as we talk about it, you'll start to get a sense of how this can be applied at a more broad scale level to create, permanent change globally. And that might sound a bit grandiose. I know it's kind of a cliche, really, and a funny thing because really everyone who's taken psychedelics always says this could change the world. God, this could change my life. God, there's so much potential here, right? It's like it's the absolute cliche, and yet that has been such a compelling piece for me in terms of why I got involved in personal development, personal growth, hypnosis, NLP, all these techniques and modalities that I study. For me, the driving force was how do we take this profound, sacred, divine, potent wisdom that we access in these moments, in these states on psychedelics, and turn that into lasting change? How do I change myself? How do I become that? How do I actualize the potential? How do I become that being that I've touched within myself in those moments? And for me, that's such a juicy question. I have so much passion around that and interest around that. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Before we do, I wanted to just take a quick moment here to drink a little lemon water and just acknowledge with you guys really quick that I have been an absolutely terrible steward of this channel and the wisdom and the knowledge that I want to convey to you for a few reasons. And I want to just kind of, presence that really quick and just acknowledge what's going on. So FYI, I'm working two jobs in addition to working on this business of mine and this channel and this brand and everything that this is to you. So I'm busy all the time. And on top of being busy all the time and really hustling to make sure that I have enough income coming in with, COVID and all the changes going on socially, I also have been struggling with some kind of health issues that I've been dealing with for a few years now. And they're a bit mysterious. I don't know exactly what they are yet. And the good news about all that is I've been, making some changes in lifestyle and diet and habits that have had profoundly good effects in the positive direction with my health. But the downside is that on occasion, I still tend to experience this kind of, inflammation and discomfort. And with that, like some major cognitive stuff where my brain is just not working right. So interestingly enough, a lot of times what happens is that when I have a window of time open to shoot videos for you guys, whether it's, a 6-hour chunk, between two jobs, or whether it's a day off like I have today, a lot of times I find myself wrestling with and struggling with feeling out of sorts and just trying to get myself into the proper state, because I believe that really I can't coach you or I can't even communicate properly to you unless I'm in an aligned place. So my priority is always to make sure I'm feeling right and I'm centered and I'm clear so that when I'm talking to you, you're getting the best of me, basically. So that has been what's been going on, and it's not been fun, but it is getting better. So my apologies, because it's definitely influenced how much bandwidth I have to share and what it is that I want to share even. So that's kind of what's been going on in the background. Anyways, that topic off the table now, that topic aside, let's get into the ever juicy topic of how do we turn insight and wisdom and positive experience into lasting change. So like I said, this is kind of the Holy Grail in my book of psychedelics. This is why psychedelics are compelling and interesting, because we touch these spaces inside of ourselves, right, that are profound, that are beautiful, that are medicine for us or medicine for those around us, that are filled with beauty and novelty and richness and just absolute depth of dimension of possibility. I know I'm kind of using these big abstract words, but really we touch these incredible spaces inside of ourselves. And what's interesting about that is it's happening inside ourselves, right? So the implication there is that my nervous system is capable of feeling that way. My nervous system is capable of accessing joy or bliss or contentment or clarity or whatever the state is that is the medicine and the profound state for you, right? And so I wanted to talk about how it is that we can create that in our lives on a more daily basis, on a regular basis, because for me, this is the kind of the juicy thing, right? So in hypnosis and in NLP in particular, we talk a lot about what are called resource states and what are called problem states. And generally speaking, the idea is that a state is kind of a mode of being, an unconscious, automatic way of feeling or being that we just kind of drop into, right? So that could be fear or anger or anxiety or pleasure or joy or fascination. I mean, there's the whole rainbow of possible states that we can experience. And generally speaking, the idea in NLP, very basically, is that we want to be discovering and accessing resource states that we have inside of ourselves or that we've experienced before, and then applying those to the problem state. So I hope you see where I'm going with this. So the belief in NLP, one of the kind of presuppositions or the kind of assumptions that we operate from is that at some point in your life, whether it was when you're young, whether it was yesterday, whether it was whenever, you have at some point experienced probably every state that you would ever need to experience in order to solve whatever problem you're dealing with, right? So the idea is that we're connecting resources to problems, right? And in the connecting of the resource to the problem either transforms or disappears or becomes rendered, moot by some sort of bigger capability. In other words, we find solutions. And obviously, if you're talking in terms of states, psychedelics offer us a whole set, a whole variety, a whole universe of different states that, generally speaking, we don't access in our normal, waking day-to-day consciousness, right? And these states are profound and beautiful and powerful and rich. And what's so interesting about them is that these states are generated unconsciously, right? They're just things that the mind automatically fills in as experience. And, they're coming from the unconscious, whether it's a memory of something we've had or a deep, profound wisdom and realization that starts to bubble up through us, or whether it's a moment of just like complete like laughter and at the absurdity of life and how weird and strange it really truly is. Whatever it is, the kind of state that you have coming through, it tends to be unconsciously generated. It tends to just kind of bubble up from the core or from the background of our being into the foreground of our being, right? And so we have all these different states that the unconscious is generating. And what's also interesting is that in our day-to-day lives, when we're dealing with a problem, whether that's anxiety or depression or feeling lost or feeling confused or overwhelmed or whatever problem you might be dealing with. Generally, you can also think of these states as being unconscious things that the unconscious mind is just generating, right? Like you don't consciously generate anxiety, right? It tends to just arise. It tends to just happen. It almost accumulates and all of a sudden we're feeling it, right? So what we're looking at here, both in the positive and in the negative, not that negative states are necessarily negative, but what we're looking at is these kind of unconscious abilities of the mind to generate these different states. So we have unconscious problems and we have unconscious solutions or unconscious resource states, let's call them. And this is really where psychedelics are profoundly valuable, because I would say for most people just kind of living a default, normal, day-to-day life, having never had a mystical experience or psychedelic experience or, done anything kind of weird or radical, your kind of straight and narrow person generally starts to have a very limited range of states that they live within. So maybe they're sad, then they're happy, then they're hopeful, then they're horny, then they're hungry, then they're tired, then they're amused. There's like a kind of a maybe 10, 15, 20 kind of standard states that most of us live through most of the time. And we forget all the other ways we felt. We forget all the kind of inspirational moments we've had. We forget all the different types of just wonderful, beautiful capacities we may have developed inside of ourselves. But if you're somebody who, maybe you're microdosing and you're starting to discover these states and these other ways of being, or maybe you're someone who's done a lot of psychedelics, or you've gone through that period in your life where you're young and maybe you're going to festivals and your concerts and you're traveling and you're, taking psychedelics as part of that. Maybe you went to raves a lot. I did. You might, if you've lived that way, then you've had all these profound moments of resource states. You've had all these profound moments of realization, of insight, of beauty, of sweetness, of kindness, of goodness, of wit, of positive relational experiences with life at a deep, deep, deep level that most people kind of forget, right? And I would say to you, if you're one of those people, if you've had those kinds of experiences, that there's a reason for that. That's not an accident. That's not just this random thing that just happened for no reason. You were given those experiences by your unconscious mind for a reason. And the reason is that they're medicine. And if you can remember some of these profound states that you've been in, these moments of profound love, these moments of profound compassion for humanity, these moments of profound integrity, these moments of profound, lightheartedness and ease, or whatever it is that you have access inside of yourself that is the best of what you have known life to be for you. Those experiences still live inside of you somewhere in your memory. Those experiences are generated by you. They're from you. They're not random. They're not just the universe happening to you. They are the universe happening through you. They are you happening as life, right? And so the long and the short of it is that the more time you spend cultivating these resource states, the more of them you have to draw from to be able to apply to the problems in your life. And this is really the work I want to teach you. This is the work I do privately with my clients. This is the work that I'll be doing with you in terms of audios, in terms of hypnotherapy stuff, or the courses I'm developing. This is what I want to teach you how to do, is how to take these resource states that you've experienced, these juicy, beautiful moments of profound wisdom and goodness and amazingness of who you really are. And instead of just letting them kind of fade away when the drug wears off and, you just return to this default consciousness, plug them in to where you most need them. Plug them into where the problems are. Plug them into the challenges and the setbacks and these unresourceful states that we all go through. Why wouldn't we? I mean, if you've been given these beautiful, amazing capacities, why wouldn't you use them, right? So that is, I mean, there are a lot of ways that I think psychedelics heal. I think this is one way that they heal beyond just the kind of better living through chemistry, transient moment of stimulating your serotonin system or your dopamine system and kind of getting outside the neurological box. I do think that's valuable. I do think that's important. But I think there's a deeper lesson here, which is taking the highest highs of your life, the juiciest moments, the sweetest, best nectar of your being, and integrating that, weaving that to the dark spots, to the moments, the lows, the challenges, the fears, the pains, the sufferings, the very human aspects of yourself that might need that medicine that you already carry. And it's so simple. right? And the cool thing about this is this transcends psychedelics. This, pardon me, there's a helicopter that's going to fly over, so there might be a little noise. This transcends psychedelics. This is more than just, okay, I had a drug experience. I learned something profound about myself or about the world, about life. I developed a new belief system that is beautiful, and I want to weave that into my being. This is more than just that, although it is that too. This is also, you traveled in your early 20s and you learned something beautiful, and you want to integrate that into the rest of your life, in your 30s and your 40s. This is, you had a beautiful sexual experience with an amazing person, and you want to have whatever wisdom and whatever kind of healing, nourishing kind of quality that brought to your life to move on in you, through you, to the way you relate to everybody in a more nourished, healed, positive light. This is, you learned something super cool from one of your hobbies. Maybe you're good at an instrument, or maybe you're, amazing at a sport or whatever, and it's empowered you in some way. And instead of having that be this segmented thing that's off in the corner of your life that maybe you don't do as much anymore because you're busy, because you're older or whatever, you can take those lessons, you can take that mode of being that you learned, and again, plug that into who you are now, and weave that into your being, and bring all those lessons forward with you into the rest of your life. So I hope this is making sense. I'm like I said, I haven't been feeling great. I'm a little tired. I'm a little low energy, and I might be rambling here. And so if I am, I apologize to you. But it's this thing that when you really stop and you think about it, it's so obvious, right? But it's this thing that most of us experientially feel a disconnect between those beautiful moments in our lives and the challenging moments in our lives. And if we just discover how there's a way, there is a way to connect the two. And when we discover how, all of a sudden, the cool thing about doing psychedelics is that you have this entire palette, this huge repertoire of different aspects of yourself that you've encountered that are profound and beautiful and amazing, that you can use to change yourself and grow and heal and evolve and shift and improve your life. And so I say, why not? So anyways, I just want to kind of give you that insight, that understanding, so that you know a bit more about what it means to apply psychedelics to personal change. I've been playing around with different ways to do this with people. So this can be done probably most effectively after a psychedelic experience. So let's say you took some mushrooms, you had a beautiful experience, it transformed you, you had all these revelations and insights, and you want to then plug that into your life. I would say this is easiest to do for a few reasons, the day after, the next few days after, the week after, whenever, once you've come down. But there are also ways to do this while you're having the experience. So while you're tripping, this can also be used to integrate things. But I would say generally it's going to be this approach I'm talking about, taking the best, applying it to where you need it, something that is really better done post-trip. There are other ways to work with a psychedelic while you're on it that are maybe a little more useful. So anyways, food for thought. Hope that inspires you. We'll be talking more about psychedelics on this channel. It's definitely a core piece of the content here. But also, we'll be talking a lot more in the near future about anxiety and how to overcome anxiety and how to manage anxiety, because we're going to be going through a really tough time in the country here in the US and in the world for the foreseeable future. So I want to arm you and empower you with a whole set of tools on how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with these negative states, and how to access these positive states and apply them so that you're not flooded with overwhelm or anxiety or burdened or in fear and contraction all the time, because you're too beautiful for that. You have too much to offer. There's too much here at stake for all of us in the world to just be overwhelmed with negative emotion all the time. So I want to start to empower you with those tools as well. So I'll be talking a lot more about that on the channel. And I think that does it for this video. I'm probably going to bust out a couple more here so that I'm just kind of batch recording and I have them all ready to go for you. So much love, be well. I'll see you in the next video.